Welcome to Independent Sources. I'm Garry Pierre-Pierre.
And I'm Viano Ravinka. Asians are the fastest growing ethnic group in the city, with Chinese New Yorkers leading the way. Now those numbers are translating into political power. Former City Council member John Liu is expected to win the Comptroller's race next week. The Chinese-American politician would become the first Asian to hold citywide office. 3 other Chinese Americans are vying for City Council seats.
On this edition of Independent Sources, we catch up with Liu on the campaign trail.
We talk with a noted scholar and author about the political coming of age of Chinese Americans in New York. We visit 2 Chinese enclaves, one in Manhattan and the other one in Queens, and find 2 distinctly different communities.
And we look at national politics as we explore why immigration has become a hot-button issue in the debate over healthcare reform.
Those stories and news of the week after this.
Ethnic media is growing media, and the rest of the media is shrinking, because it seems like ethnic media is the part of the media that's doing better, and maybe is like the hope for the future.
John Liu was born in Taiwan and moved with his family to New York when he was 5. In 2001, he became the first Asian American elected to the New York City Council. In September, he won a runoff for City Comptroller against David Yaski. Liu is on the verge of making history, becoming the first Asian elected to citywide office. I caught up with Liu at a press conference for ethnic media. You could become Comptroller, and a number of Chinese Americans could join the City Council. What does that say about the political development of the Chinese community?
The political development of the Chinese community, like with every other immigrant group, there's a certain learning curve. The first generation of people get here, and the highest priority is to make sure that there's clothing, there's shelter, and there's food. But with second and successive generations, I think it becomes clearer to every immigrant community what the value, what the beauty of America is. And that is the democracy that we have here. And that is that everybody has a chance to be at the table where decisions are made. And that includes voting, it includes running for office, it includes electing people to office. So Asian Americans, like everybody else, are on a certain learning curve. We're ahead of other groups and behind others. And so, I think that it is really the strength of the system that we have here in America and here in New York that new communities can gain a foothold and actually get representation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Dan.
John Liu's former city council seat will almost surely go to a Chinese American, since both the Democratic and Republican candidates to represent Flushing, Queens are Chinese. In Manhattan, Margaret Chin has a good chance of winning in a district that includes Chinatown. Producer Abi Ishola and editor Wei Lu visited both neighborhoods and came back with a tale of 2 very different Chinese communities.
Over the years, New York's Chinatown has grown into one of the largest tourism hubs in the city. Here, residents and tourists have access to over 1,000 retail shops and up to 600 Chinese restaurants. But to many Chinese Americans, the area is deeply rooted in their personal history.
My name's Sandra Lee, and I am a 4th-generation Chinese American. This is where my great-grandfather came in 1888. We have our business here, but on the top floor there's an apartment.
Lee's family tree is among thousands that have shaped New York's Chinatown, one of the largest Chinese communities outside of China. The area is home to an estimated 60,000 Chinese residents, many of whom migrated from Hong Kong and the southern part of China. Cantonese was once the main language spoken in the area, but as new immigrants emerge, Mandarin, the national language in China, is becoming the dominant tongue.
For what you invested in green, this is the so-called tax.
Wellington Chen, executive director of the Chinatown Partnership, a nonprofit organization appointed to clean up the area, says New York's Chinatown is an anchor for several Chinatowns throughout the U.S.
The Chinese community is not monolithic. To the outside, it looks like all Chinese is actually have distinct dialects. And so this community being more older is what I call the base, or what I call the mothership.
Yet some say the mothership pales in comparison to Flushing, Queens. a bustling Asian enclave that now boasts the largest Chinese population in New York City. Main Street in downtown Flushing is a commercial strip occupied by countless Chinese-owned businesses. Blue-collar workers, students, and professionals who come here in droves to shop say there are many benefits to having a Chinatown in Queens.
Certainly, downtown Flushing is one of the most diverse places in the city. I live close to here, and it's great to be able to come here for a wide array of food and cultural experiences.
We have everything here, and we are very pleased and very happy because the prices are good, the people are very nice, very hard workers, like the way we do. And I think everybody is so happy with the improvement that we have here in Flushing.
I come to Flushing every day because I'm retired. I would talk with my friend, enjoy with my friend, spend the time in a tea shop. Yeah, we are so family here.
To us, seems like there's more northern Chinese people here. So it's a different flavor than Chinatown. Chinatown has the old Hong Kong influence and southern Chinese people.
Many say these cultural differences have shaped the political climate in each neighborhood. In Manhattan, Hong Kong native Margaret Chin will likely become the first Asian American to serve the district that includes Chinatown. But the political muscle among Asians, particularly from Taiwan, is stronger in Flushing. Since Councilman John Liu became the first Asian elected to city council in 2001, 3 other Taiwanese Americans were elected to public office in Flushing. Competing for John Liu's former position are Democratic candidate Yen Cho and her Republican opponent, Peter Ku. Both are also natives of Taiwan. Peter Thu, executive director for the Flushing Chinese Business Association, says education and democracy are prized in Taiwan, so these sentiments have spilled over to Flushing.
Taiwan system is learned from the United States of America. Since I'm 18 years old in Taiwan, we become election to vote the council member, to vote the mayor. So the people from Taiwan know the only vote can really, show your power and to show what are you trying to say. So this is the reason why, and Chinatown is not.
Wellington Chen agrees that background plays a part in the political appetite of his countrymen. But his theory is that Chinatown residents may become more politically active if the community forms a business improvement district.
If you don't reinvent yourself, you're going to fall behind the times. You're not going to keep up. You're not going to be competitive.
I've been a part of this community for many years, and I've seen the institutions grow, I've seen the nonprofits prosper, and I've seen the businesses mature. And, we've got many, many generations now that are contributing as well as the new immigrant. So it's really a confluence of great energy. So it's really exciting.
For some residents, Manhattan's Chinatown will continue to be the anchor for younger Chinatowns, despite the cultural and political differences among Chinese Americans. For Independent Sources, Abi Ishola.
What has spurred the growing political awareness and involvement among Chinese New Yorkers? To get some insight, I asked Peter Kwong. He's a professor at Hunter College and the author of numerous books on Chinese in America. For years, we've heard stories about how the Chinese American community is large and vibrant, but yet very absent politically. This season, however, we've seen a change. What has happened?
Well, Chinese been here about 150 years, but that migration interrupted, and it didn't resume until the 1960s. Since that time on, we have new immigrants, large number of new immigrants coming to the United States, but they are really new immigrants. Mm-hmm. They started all over again. Okay. Many of them don't speak English, and many of them not citizens. So it took a long time, slowly, for a community to build up. And when you have some people who don't speak English, no knowledge of American political systems, and they're not citizens, they can't vote. Now, slowly, some of them become citizens, But even if they become citizens, they may not be registered to vote.
Yes.
So when they are citizens, register to vote, and then when they do vote, they may not vote for one party. So the Chinese community for a long time divided between Republicans and Democrats. So for a long time, American party system is not interested in Chinese community because it's just not enough votes.
Okay. Well, speaking of division, the last decade or so, there's been some attempt by Chinese Americans to run for city council office and other offices in Chinatown and Manhattan. This year, however, unsuccessfully, but this year, however, Margaret Chin was able to put together a coalition and win that seat in Chinatown. What happened there again?
Well, what happened is that slowly Chinese American Chinatown in New York, the population stabilized, and there's more conscious and knowledge about politics. At the same time, too, I think Margaret, at the third time, fourth time she's trying, she too realized you can't win just by winning the Chinese votes.
Okay.
So she has been making a strong effort. And of course, this time also has to do with the fact that she lucked out because it was an anti-incumbent situation, as well as the fact that there were no other Chinese candidates running against her.
Okay. Now, let's move across the river to Queens and Flushing, where you have a strong, vibrant Asian community there,
right,
but dominated somewhat by the Chinese community.
Right.
How did Flushing evolve to be such a large and vibrant community?
Well, Flushing was had a very, very small community starting in the 1940s, but they are all professionals. So that area over the years attracted Mandarin-speaking Chinese.
As opposed to?
As Cantonese from Canton.
Okay.
So these people tend to be more educated, and the Flushing Chinatown Chinese community developed as a commercial strip. People go there to shop, okay, and so it's not as concentrated as New York's Chinatown. But over the years, more and more business, banks, and everybody comes in here, and a lot of investment coming to Flushing. So Flushing today is, in some ways, is much more detached from the old traditional associations. Okay. So they are. It's politically, it's much more mobile. So that's why John Liu was able to win the city councilship. So in that sense, because of education, because of a little bit of class aspect, and also the loosening of the community structure, allow much more flexibility.
What do you mean by loosening of the community structure?
Well, in the old Chinese immigrant community, they tend to be self-governing, and the governing instrument tend to be associations, family associations, village association that was actually transplanted from the old country. Mm-hmm. Now they have a lot of feudal kind of the kind of rules that are quite controlling, and but Flushing does not have that burden.
One last question. Where do you see the Chinese community 5-10 years from now? What kind of force politically it will be in the city?
Well, actually, I think the Chinese community now is spreading. Mm-hmm. They are no longer just concentrated. Professional has never lived in concentrated Chinese communities. Many of them live in suburbs or integrated areas. So I could see, and also at the same time today, Chinese community, concentrated Chinese community, there is a lack of jobs. So there's a movement, people slowly moving out of these concentrated to broader. So in that sense, I think Chinese will be much more integrated politically. And it also means that Chinese Americans interested in politics, they have to be part of the mainstream politics and getting involved, forming coalitions.
We'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much,
Thank
Dr. Peter Kwong at Hunter College.
Now here's Alana Rigal with other news making headlines.
Thanks, Vianora. Here's a look at some headlines from the ethnic media. New America Media reports that ethnic minorities could be the most vulnerable and susceptible to swine flu. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says that priority will be given to minorities when offering the swine flu vaccine. A federal health official says minorities are more prone to getting the H1N1 virus because many suffer from chronic health disorders and therefore have more compromised immune systems. From The Independent, have New York City's gay youth been forgotten? A recent U.S. Department Health survey estimates that over 1 million homeless youth are living on the streets. Between 20 and 40% of them are lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender. The study says gay youth are coming out at early ages. Many run away from home and end up homeless because they fear being kicked out. New America Media reports that Buddhism has become the third most popular religion in America after Christianity and Judaism. Over the past 25 years, many Americans have embraced more spiritual and radical practices. Los Angeles, California has the largest population of Buddhists than any other city in the country. There are over 300 Buddhist temples and centers in Los Angeles alone. Buddhism refutes the existence of a creator and encourages absolute compassion and bliss. Hasidic Jews in Williamsburg have opposed bike lanes in their neighborhood because they say they attract scantily clad cyclists and take up parking spaces. The Jewish Week reports that Jews on the Upper West Side, however, are advocating for the creation of bike lanes because they say biking will reduce pollution, promote public health, and allow for other safer transportation options. Jewish leaders and bike advocates in the area are waiting for a response from their community board on whether they will create bike lanes sometime in the near future. Those were just a few headlines from the ethnic media. We'll be back after this.
As you know, paper comes from trees.
Paper comes from trees.
Paper comes from trees. Every time trees are destroyed to make paper, we lose something that can't be replaced.
We lose the air we breathe,
the soil that grows our food, wildlife, and our home.
And their home.
You have the power to stop this.
You have the power to stop this.
You have the power to stop this. Insist that the paper you buy is tree-free. Insist on it.
Insist on it.
Help us win the paper campaign.
I feel that immigrants should get health care because they come to the United States looking for a better life, and a better life should include health care.
I think it definitely should be available. I don't see any reason why it shouldn't be to everyone who needs it, including undocumented workers.
If it's an emergency, accept them in the emergency room, but if they undocumented, why give them health care?
To end our show, we move from local to national politics. Here's Vianora.
Immigrants and immigration have become flashpoints in the healthcare debate. South Carolina Congressman Joe Wilson's outburst calling the President of the United States a liar indelibly linked the issues. The Republican politician later said his outburst was an act of passion. Why did immigrants become a main focus of the debate about healthcare reform, and what has been the impact? Joining me in studio to discuss these issues is Allie Sanchez, CEO of Boriken Neighborhood Health Center. And joining us from Mexico City via Skype is Germán Baz, CEO of daily newspaper El Diario de Mexico. Welcome.
Thank you.
Germán, let me start with you. The whole issue of illegal immigrants not receiving health care benefits must resonate in Mexico and within the Mexican communities here in the U.S., given that a large number of undocumented people in the U.S. are Mexican. Tell us how the Mexican media has been covering the healthcare debate in the United States.
Well, the Mexican press in Mexico City is reporting that we should make a case with the U.S. government through the diplomatic channels. But the real issue is that the Mexicans living in the United States come and cooperate with the economy there. They may be undocumented on immigration, but most of them have tax ID numbers and pay their taxes. So why shouldn't they be allowed the health care? They're actually, by paying their taxes, paying for it.
Ellie, what do you make of the healthcare debate focusing now on undocumented immigrants?
Well, unfortunately, I don't think that anyone's realized that the undocumented immigrants that are here in the United States are here to stay. And at some point in time, we have to take care of their health care, because if we don't, then the healthcare system as it is today and the epidemics as they are in this country already will just go rampant. There's no way that we cannot take care of our immigrant brothers and sisters. There's just no way.
Ellie, some say that undocumented aliens are breaking the law. Why should we give them health care benefits? Or should we perhaps all treat health care as a basic human right?
Well, number one, health care is a basic human right. That's number one. And number two, are they really breaking the law? Yes, they are. But they are paying taxes. Very many of them, as Germán has just stated, yes, do have tax IDs, and they are paying taxes. And so that should translate to them receiving health care. We're providing it anyway.
Tell us a bit about your clinic in East Harlem. Who are your clients, and do you ask them their status?
Well, the truth of the matter is that we are a clinic, and we are, it's really ironic, but we are funded by the federal government. We have a pretty large grant to care for people that otherwise could not pay. So we do not discriminate. If you can't pay, we obviously are taking care of you. We actually turn no one away, regardless of whether they're documented or not. We just take care of them. We have to.
And that is how it should be.
Exactly.
Yeah, that is how it should be. It's also in the law. You know, healthcare has to be provided for anybody who has to require. Doesn't matter if they're documented, their entry to the United States. But in a way, and I keep saying this, they're documented by having a tax ID number.
Some immigrant activists say that this is not about cost to taxpayers, but in fact is about xenophobia and racism. Is it?
Well, most of them are actually paying taxes. So getting that out of the equation, we can fairly say that it's more a political thing than actually an economical thing.
President Obama recently said, quoted by UPI at the Congressional Hispanic Caucus Institute, healthcare reform is crucial for Hispanic Americans because reforming the U.S. healthcare system is linked to immigration reform. Germán, do you think the president is right in linking the two?
Well, I don't know if he's right or wrong. He has his reasons, and by having his reason to do it, so it's the president's take. It's also our take that the Mexicans or immigrants that are coming in here are filling jobs that no other American citizen wants to do, and thus cooperating to the economy on those jobs that need to be filled. If there weren't those jobs to be filled, there weren't people coming. I mean, American citizens don't want to do the job the immigrants are doing, so there's an open space for them, and that's why they keep coming.
Ellie, what about the cost? Let's talk more to you about the cost. What does it cost you, the clinic, to treat these people as opposed to the cost that it would take for these people to go to emergency rooms?
Well, it's hard to put a dollar figure on it, but you look at it this way. Community health centers are the gatekeepers of healthcare. Mm-hmm. If we do not take care of the individuals that come to our doorsteps, regardless of their status in the United States, then they're going to wind up in the emergency rooms, which is going to cost this government so much more money than it would cost them to allow us to treat them and give us some of the funding that is necessary to continue to treat them effectively. It's hard to put a dollar amount on it because it depends on what's wrong. If somebody comes in with a cold, the normal charge is $110. But if that person has to have $300 worth of labs, do we expect the person to pay the $110? Of course not. They go on a sliding fee. We have people that pay us $2 if they can afford to pay anything. So I don't think that even the government knows what the cost is. But I can tell you that with my experience in the industry, that it's better to take care of someone in a community health setting and take care of their health needs while it's, a beginning stage of whatever is wrong with them, as opposed to waiting until they're very sick and then having to pick up the tab for paying for hospital expenses, which are astronomical. So,
I just want to say the better medicine is the preventive medicine that you give in their communities. That's a given anywhere in this world. It's the cheapest medicine that you can have when you prevent diseases to be spread, or you prevent them, give them good health notions, and that's only done by the people like your guest in their community, I suppose. In emergency rooms, they treat emergencies. If we can prevent it, for them to go to these emergency rooms, then everybody saves.
Some say, Germán, that if Obama had tackled and passed immigration reform first, many of these issues surrounding undocumented immigrants and their access to health care would have been settled. Do you agree?
Well, I'm going to tell you this. Mr. Obama is a very busy man, and every issue he has on his desk is very complicated. He has his strategy, and I know an immigration reform will have to come, because the problem is just getting bigger and it's not going away.
Allie, what are your hopes about healthcare reform?
Well, I'm hoping that we get it together and get it together very soon. As Germán has said, time is ticking. People are getting sicker in this country, and now, just for instance, the swine flu is on its way.
Mm-hmm.
We have to get people, taken care of, and early on.
And we need reform to address the needs of not only undocumented and illegal, but also the legal ones whom you are treating in your clinic.
Yeah, you have hundreds and thousands of people that are legal people here, that have been here since birth, and they don't have health care. So how hard can it? Of course it's difficult for the immigrant to get health care. If we don't have, many of our own, United States citizens are unable to access health care for whatever reasons.
Germán Baz and Allie Sanchez, thanks for being with us. We'll be right back.
Somebody's health is important, and I go every day worrying about my health. Like, I had to pay for my flu shot the other day because I don't have health care, and it worries me, and it just, everybody should have health care.
I know people come sometime even out of the country, they're pregnant, get the delivery done at everybody's cost here, and they get all the coverage free. This is not appropriate.
I've been seeing a lot of people and coming to city hospitals. I see them, how they're struggling. They have 2 kids, or they're taking care of people back home. They should get something from this country.
You promised me the world. Is this what you had in mind?
Help EarthShare and its members restore balance to the world. Visit earthshare.org and see what you can do. EarthShare, one environment, one simple way to care for it.
That's our show. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next week. In the meantime, be independent-minded.